Okay, deeper into the editing process here in this book, Season of the Lynx, the latest How to Succeed in Evil book. And I'm halfway through a chapter. This may be two chapters, but I introduced this character who's a magician, semi professional, and he puts on a performance and he just fails utterly. So he goes back to this magic store that he manages. And that's sort of where we are. So instead of going home, Alan went to the Hindu Shuffle. It had been closed for an hour and he had keys. He just couldn't bear to go back to his studio in defeat. Now, I've mentioned the fact that he manages this place before, so I don't even think we need this thing. We can just, he just couldn't go back. He knew the rage inside him would lose that. The rage inside wouldn't let him rest, but he could put it to use. He'd pour it into practice. The old magic shop was in the middle of what had once been a bad neighborhood. Now it had been completely gentrified, and the Hindu Shuffle seemed to be the only store that survived from the original group of shops. Irish Bar in the Corner had been turned into a Starbucks, and yeah, at the end, Mr. is weird there. Mr. Gentry's fine gentleman's consignment shop had been turned into a, quote, beauty bar. The rest of the places had been converted into restaurants that Alan couldn't afford to eat. By the light of ancient neon sign with its 3-step card animation. I think we need to do this. Okay, so what I'm thinking here is once you jump to this by the light of the ancient neon sign with its 3-card step animation, I don't really know. The reader's having to do some work to place that as the magic store sign. So maybe if I have magic store here, it'll be a little bit clearer. Unlocked the door and walked into the magic store and tripped over a bulk delivery of fog machine fluid. I don't know without showing sort of what I see in my mind of this, this card going kick, 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 kind of thing. I without using up a lot of words and real estate here, I don't know how to make that faster. I think it's okay. Again, not the tears. Again, tears welled up in his eyes. Let's see. We're for Axel Mephisto, highly successful stage magician, not just in Third City, but around the world. Rumor was that he had just signed his second deal for a streaming special. Sure, he was a great performer, but he was all flash and pyrotechnics. Complicated, expensive tricks were more engineering than true magic. Yep, hated him, hated himself a little. This is pretty clean. Okay, so he was mocked by this kid at the hibachi place he was working, which is a crazy place to do magic anyway. Like, Axel would have had that little bastard at the hibachi place eating out of his hand, but then Axel never would have had that gig in the first place. After he picked himself up off the floor, Alan went to the main counter and spread green felt all over the glass surface. Placed a mirror on a stand on the other side of the counter so he could practice he could see what his practice looked like from an imaginary audience's perspective. Ignored all the fancy package, self-working tricks that surrounded him. Instead opted for a pack of cards and a large. Relentlessly, he forced the cards and palmed the coin, made them appear and disappear at breakneck speed. Raffle shuffled the cards. Again and again and again. No pattern, no explanation, just the motions over and over and over again. Okay. Some were born to greatness, others had to run greatness down. Stomp greatness is would do it this way. It's Gutson until greatness, until it. Cried uncle. Okay, here's my question about this sequence, because we're going to have something happen here pretty dramatic. He was alternating the thumb and finger variants of the anti-pharaoh when he heard it. Now, nobody's really going to know what this is unless they're a magician, but I looked it up, and it sounds pretty good. I'm using this language like the technical terms on Star Trek. They just made them up, and they had somebody go through and make sure they sounded vaguely plausible. Let's see, anti-pharaoh when he heard it. A noise like a fat bumblebee drawing closer. He set the cards down. Nope. No question mark there. Was he having a stroke? He rubbed his eyes and looked around. Nothing seemed to be wrong, but the noise grew louder and louder. Then the front of the store exploded. Man, this is pretty clean. It doesn't make for a great editing video, but makes for easy editing. There was a thunderous crash. Okay. This adjective. Do we really need this adjective? These are the questions I asked myself. And Alan was knocked from his feet. Even as his ears rang, he could hear glass tinkling. All right, that's another problem. Over the ringing in his ears. He could hear glass tinkling and bits of brick and plaster falling down. I think that's a better way to do this. Really, I want to put that sound in the reader's mind. I'm thinking of a specific scene there. The sound from a specific scene, which is the scene in the Blues Brothers where Carrie Fisher's character comes along and blows up the building they're in with a rocket launcher. And you hear everything railing down. So he opened his eyes, and as he struggled to his feet, he saw that a dark shape in now filled the room. Now he saw a dark shape. It's a dark figure in what used to be the doorway. See, that gives us a person entering the room immediately. See how it's more specific and it becomes better. Fire jetted from the back of it. Nope. It's let's see. Nope. Dark shape. Because all right, I've messed myself up now. Dark shape in what used to be fire jetted from the back of it, burning the carpet. Okay, fire jetted from it. Let's just do from it. Because if it crashed, what I'm trying to do is get the image of a plane having crashed into the front of this store, as we'll see in a second. But if it crashes into the front of the store and fire jets from the back of it, it wouldn't burn the carpet. This was so clear in my mind when I first wrote it. As Alan tried to find a context for all this, the fire ignited the fog machine. White smoke billowed forth. That's what we need. There was a secondary explosion, and the canopy exploded off of what he now realized was some kind of an aircraft. Coughing from the smoke, he could barely see a figure fall out of the cockpit. I wonder if this is the best way to do this, right? It's probably a better way to do this. I'm going to have to figure that out. Make a note. The figure sprung Alan had glowing eyes. I think that's better. He grabbed Alan by the shoulders and said, "Do not be afraid, citizen," in a hoarse Gravelly voice. The lynx will avenge you. I just love that. The guy just crashed into his store, ruined everything, and now he's promising to avenge him. Like, it's so absurd for me. I love it. And then the lynx let him go and dove out through the smoke. Wait, what? Said Alan. He tried to follow, but the smoke was too thick. It vomited forth from the fire blaze that blocked the front of the shop. But the smoke was too thick. And without a suit, the fire was too hot. Fire was too hot. It's too thick and the fire was too hot. Maybe we just do that. The delete key. It's my favorite key on the keyboard. Okay. The fire was too hot. Smoke. So once we add that fire thing in there, we're now far removed from smoke, so I don't know that it works there. Smoke vomited forth from the fire. Does it have to be? Is it a fire? Is it a blaze? Is it a fire blaze? It's just a fire. Block the front of the shop. And then we can do it burned his eyes and seared his lungs. He fought through a coughing fit to cry out, "Help! Help me!" I think fell to the floor. Collapse is just a little bit fancier. Obviously, he's weak from the chemicals. You're supposed to be a hero. Okay. I think that's good enough for now. I'll press on to the next section. My only lingering concern is you're supposed to be a hero and was swallowed by the smoke. The last thing he said before he blacked out was, is he talking to the lynx or is he talking to himself? There's just a smidge of ambiguity there, but the lynx is the hero, so I think it's okay. All right. That's what I've got for today. The editing continues.